We are what we eat. Since plants provide us with the nutrients we need to survive, if we don't feed them right, we are ultimately not feeding ourselves right. In nature, we can find all we need to sustain healthy plants and thus healthy humans. But science has found shortcuts to plant nutrition. Are these shortcuts worth it? Are there hidden costs? What is the most sensible choice? Instead of only relying on the experts, we can find out by trying to grow some of our food ourselves. I'm Siloe Oliveira, and I feel that a closer contact with nature is essential to a well-rounded human being. Follow me as I try to transform my yard into a more self-sufficient suburban homestead. In the last episode, you've seen me building a hugelkultur-inspired bed that has garden debris underneath it. This organic material breaks down with time, serving as a sponge, trapping and conserving moisture. Despite a laborious process to set it up, it becomes a low-maintenance growing system, cutting down on watering and fertilizing as time passes. But before I can plant the seedlings I've been growing indoors in this bed, I will fertilize it. For this bed of about 16 feet by 4 feet, I am using 4 40-pound bags of a compost and well-rotted manure mix, spreading it evenly. If you have heavy clay soil, you might also want to add more organic matter, like composted leaves, to improve the soil texture. Unfortunately, because of where I live, I have to buy composted manure. If I had livestock or chickens, this would be a great use for their manure. Regardless of what you plant this first year in your hugelkultur bed, you will need to add a nitrogen-rich fertilizer like composted manure. This is because as the carbon-rich woody matter inside of it breaks down, it will first rob nitrogen from the surrounding soil. However, later on, the wood will start releasing nitrogen and other nutrients in a controlled and sustained manner. If you fail to provide adequate nitrogen in the beginning, your plants will stunt their growth and produce poorly. Nitrogen is essential for plant growth, and a sign of adequate nitrogen levels is deep green, large leaves. Even though nitrogen is the most abundant element in the atmosphere, it is found in a form that plants cannot really use. It is only when bacteria fix this nitrogen that it is presented in a form that plants can take in. Interestingly, lightning strikes convert nitrogen and oxygen from the atmosphere into nitric oxide, which oxidizes into nitrogen dioxide, then to nitric acid, which is carried to the plants in the rain. This may be why it seems that plants receive a boost after a strong thunderstorm with all the extra water and a little extra nitrogen inside. Now, why not use a chemical fertilizer rich in nitrogen? Certainly the scientists from the 60s would recommend it, claiming that all a plant needs is a nice NPK synthetic fertilizer to grow bigger. And for him, soil is just a substance that holds the plant up. Chemicals are all you need. It is true that plants do need chemicals, but none of them have to be synthetic. Everything around us is ultimately made of chemicals, but they are usually in complex organic forms that are usually less toxic. When we use man-made chemicals, we risk disrupting the balance. For instance, chemical fertilizers can cause nitrogen burn in plants, leading to their death. But a bigger problem with using them is that as they leach into waterways, they cause algae blooms that shade aquatic plants, lowering dissolved oxygen in water as they decompose, creating dead zones. The Chesapeake Bay, where I live, has been plagued by this, causing its ecosystems to collapse and destroying fisheries. This is terrible not only in ecological terms, but also economic, as the once famed seafood industry of the bay has all but disappeared. This type of pollution is of course caused by the overuse of nitrogen fertilizers in general, including the overuse of chicken manure in agriculture. But chemical fertilizers, both used in agriculture and lawn care, compound the problem. Chemical fertilizers not only impact the environment at large, they directly impact the health of your soil. You may have heard people claim that it kills all life in the soil. Although technically it does not kill everything, it does kill many organisms that live in the soil. Soil is populated by billions of life forms that are always growing, reproducing, dying, recycling. A single bacterium is able to produce 16 million more in 24 hours.
A protozoa and bacteria.
Hey Bob, do you know how a bacterium takes over the world?
How?
It divides and conquers.
To my hugelkultur bed, I also add a dried mineral and organic balanced fertilizer. It contains all the other necessary nutrients to promote healthy plants. You don't have to add too much of this type of fertilizer. Although I would love to have all the fertility I use come from our property to be truly sustainable, this is a good compromise to start with. In fact, soil creation is dependent on the actions of bacteria, fungi, and other life forms that break down organic matter. Adding organic matter like composted manure to your soil will increase the biological activity in the soil, creating essentially live soil that releases nutrients that plants need for healthy growth in a steady, controlled manner. Mix in the fertilizer and manure with the top layer of soil using a garden fork. The bed is now ready for planting, and if everything goes right, in only a couple of months, you can start to enjoy the bounty it provides. Join me next time as I plant this garden bed using concepts from the biointensive method. And don't forget to subscribe to Suburban Homestead.